Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, we have some one team versus alls versus the new Pirate Alliance Kizuna clash for the Super Evolution of Shanks. Now, this being an off month, so a non-super boss, you do want to try and save your potions, but in today's video, I have a one team versus all for you guys if you guys want to use it to take down stuff like assists, or if you want to do your own runs. I would highly recommend using the suicide strat, but look, if you do want to do your own runs, these teams will use Otama and won't use an Otama as a friend captain. Obviously, we didn't summon. We don't want to be summoning here. We want to be saving our gens for New Year's. So these teams don't include the new Hamlet. They don't include the new Otama. And they don't even include the new Momo and all that other stuff as well. But if you enjoy this type of stuff, make sure to put the like button for me. Hit the big red subscribe button if you guys haven't done so already. And with that said, let's take a look at the infograph, as it's become a bit of a novel. There's a lot going on when it comes to these infographics now, and there's a lot more stuff when it comes to actual 10-star Kizuna. However, most of the time with these Kizunas, you won't see past level 30, and look, that's okay, because a lot of people won't be using potions, and your assists will pretty much cap out around 30 to 35, but the teams do work past level 30, and on the strength variation, slashers, shooters, and powerhouse get all the good stuff. There's attack down, there's a random barrier for tandem and Wano slots. On the final stage, there's block orbs, damage reduction, despair, and there's a damage threshold, so you can only do 50% of the HP. Then after one turn, you can only use one special. After level 30, the damage reduction gets more, the despair gets more, the special reverse gets more as well. Or there's 2 turns special reverse, I should say. On the second variation, it is a multicolor of 20% quick, dex, psi, and then it goes dex and quick again. It's a very interesting one because it's 3 colors spread across 4 different typings. Fighters, free spirits, and strikers get all the good stuff. There's burn and hunger on stage 2. There's also a damage action of 100,000 damage when you defeat the enemy. So some pretty annoying stuff there. The enemy, again, has mixed types, immunity to defense down, delay, and poison, intimidation on slot boost, 5 turns of damage reduction, you get blinded on your left-hand side, and then after level 30, the blind gets more, the damage reduction gets more, and then there's threshold for 5 turns as well. So a lot of nasty stuff to get around there. Moving down to the int variation, strength, dex, and psi characters get all the good stuff. There's an 80% damage reduction, so like you take 80% damage on this stage, plus there's recovery bind and 5 turns of resilience. On the final stage, there's immunity, a intimidation for an attack boost, base attack, or a slot boost for 1 turn, special reverse, an interrupt if you're below 90% when you enter the stage for 2 taps, I believe. If you use any conditional boost, there will be an interrupt that you lose all your positive effects, and then after level 30, you get 1 extra turn of special reverse, there's despair, and then damage reduction. So as you guys can see, there's a whole bunch of nasty stuff against Shanks, but the one team versus all led by Momo with a friend Captain Otama does work very, very nicely. Now, Momo, he's so good for this content. As a captain, he can remove bind, and he has a self-proccing special, which gives you end of turn damage. On top of that, he's a 4-turn attack booster, so you can get around the intimidation. Plus, his special removes attack down and can remove damage reduction, which is just absolutely exceptional for the stage 2 with attack down, and then the stage has damage reduction on the final stage. So it works very, very nicely. The other thing you have to get around on stage 2 is the HP count, so that way you're not below 90%, as well as burn. And that's where this chopper comes into play. He's so damn good because he can actually just basically remove all of those effects. Removing the burn, removing or giving you that massive heal is just awesome. Plus, he'll give you a little bit extra damage for psi units on stage 2 as well. There is a variation he's not boosted, but at the end of the day, that's not the end of the world. As for the other variation of stage 2, you do need to get around a barrier that is a tandem or a Wano slot, and that's where Odin and Toki come into play. Odin and Toki, they're super swap, which they will have, because if you start as Toki, she is a free spirit slasher strength unit, which gets cooldowns across everything, including super swap, which means that when you swap into Odin, you are basically going to get the orbs that you need to get through that barrier. On top of that, their special is the color affinity booster. They give you a monster heal as well, so you can actually use this heal to make sure that if that 90% reduction is an interrupt, you will still be okay, like if that's the case. But they also make slashers hit a lot harder. Unfortunately, Otama's not going to be a slasher. Unfortunately, Otama's not a slasher, so she's going to get the color affinity. But with this team, you will have a lot of other slashes that have color affinity here, and there. Next, we've got Luffy and Ace. Luffy and Ace are really, really good for this fight, because if you super swap with them, which you will have if you start with Ace, because he's a shooter, strength, free spirit unit, you're going to get the dual unit effects, plus you're also going to get the chain boundary effect, which is super nice. They're special if you have an attack boost, or sorry, it's a 2-turn orb boost, but they also give a condition. Now, just like Denjiro, if you use this special before using the Otama super type, you are going to be in a bad spot. So ideally, use the Otama super type first. That way, you get a conditional boost already. It's not going to trigger the interrupt because it's a super type, and then you can start popping this kind of stuff. It works exceptionally well. That way, this unit is a chain boundary unit. They're also a orb booster, but they'll also give you a full border matching orbs. Now, with the Beppo support on Luffy and Ace, it'll allow us to get a tandem orb, which means we can actually activate the tandem of Momo. Now, Momo's tandem requires 2 units of the following, being Denjiro, Odin, Toki, or Luffy. So you have a bunch of different characters here. Even at level 1 with the 3 units, you are still going to have some sort of super tandem here, which is going to work great. Denjiro is the final unit on the team. He can remove Despair, so can Odin and Toki, but look, he removes Despair, he also removes Threshold, and he gives you the 2 turns of cooldown, so he works very, very nice here. He does have the ability to remove 2 turns of Special Reverse on himself as well, so that's going to be an excellent unit to have. However, the Threshold does go up to 6 turns, I believe, so if you use something like the Otoko support, or you can use the Vivi support, as you guys see there, that's going to work out quite nicely. Now, the team's it's not the be-all, end-all, it's not foolproof. Like, you can chuck on some different supports if you want to make sure that you have a whole bunch of color affinity for, like, free spirit characters and all that sort of stuff. But this team, it should work quite nicely. Now, if you guys are looking at using a different friend captain for this team, if you don't want to be using Otama, or you just can't find Otama friend captains, just bring any unit that has hunger that will boost free spirits. You could even use something like Luffy Yamato and use their special to give yourself recovery orbs. That will work fine. And then you just use, there's another Zoro support you can put on Denjiro that is going to give you base attack. Sorry, not base attack. It's going to give you a conditional boost on the final stage. So that way, you'll actually get the conditional boost of that Zoro. Well, you can put on Momo, I believe, as well. You get that conditional boost from the support, and then you won't have to worry about the interrupt there. So that's another option for you guys if you want to take down that route. The next one, Team vs. All, uses Gear 5 as our captain, and once again, we are using Otama friend captain, but you don't need Otama as a friend captain for this team to work the way that it does. Otama works great because she has hunger, and that's really the big benefit to this particular team, but Yamato is actually expendable here. You could probably bring something like Ace Yamato or anyone else that has hunger, like I said. That will work fine, but this team is meant to rock with a friend captain that is Otama, like purely just for hunger, really. But on stage 2, you have some barrier shenanigans, there's the attack down shenanigans, and then there's the healing stuff. So with Luffy and his Super EX, you can actually use that ability to bypass barriers, bypass defensive effects. So the threshold and the damage reduction, it doesn't actually matter, which is super nice. Chopper, once again, he's here for that. He's here for that heal that we need, as well as getting around burn. But what you could probably do with this team, to be honest, is just like tap through the burn, die, and then revive with Luffy, and then just move into the final stage that way. Save the Chopper special if you want to, and that way Gear 5's doing a lot more damage. Or you could just replace Chopper with anyone else. We do have Momo again on this team. Momo's probably replaceable with any other attack down remover, but he does fall into the category of the Luffy Super EX, so that's another reason why he's really, really good here. Plus, he gives you 4 turns of an attack boost. It doesn't get affected by the intimidation, and then you're in for a really good spot there. The final unit is Wano Law. Now, Wano Law is great because he is a chain boundary unit, because our captain's a fighter free spirit. Plus, he's an orb booster for 2 turns. Very important that you have a 2-turn orb boost, because there's an intimidation that will reduce it by 1 turn, and then on the other variations, there's the one where you have to actually take 2 turns. So Wano Law, he works perfectly here. Otama is going to remove Despair for this team. Plus, Otama can actually give you the increase to the conditional boost that she provides, as well as the orb boost that Law is going to provide. So ideally, Luffy is sort of just color affinity here, which is kind of funny. But nevertheless, this team should work very, very nicely. Yamato down the bottom there, she's just there for a very good super tandem. Plus, she has the ability to give that damage reduction buff when she gets her cooldowns and stuff like that. When she does, she has her versatility as well, and that way you can do some fun stuff there. You can always bring a Mr. 3 support if she doesn't get that cooldown, and then Queen is just more damage nevertheless. Like I said though, if you want to, just replace not Yamato. Well, you can replace Yamato, to be honest, but just replace Otama with any other hunger-reducing character, and that's going to work absolutely fine. And then you can bring stuff like Gear 5, 6+, and you can bring, like, Roger if you really want to, or even bring Yamato as a friend captain, so that way you're removing Despair. Finally, if you want to get real brazy with some big damage stuff, you can do something like this with a 6+ friend captain. With the Gear 5s being boosted, as well as Zoro being boosted, you can do some pretty fun stuff here. Now, unfortunately, Ace Yamato aren't boosted across the board, but it's going to be okay because Ace Sabo, they do get boosted on majority of the events. And the ones that they don't, you can actually use the Luffy special. So that way you'll have the Orb Boost of Luffy. But if you don't have an Orb Boost at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a problem. We're going to be using the special of Nami Karina on stage 2 to get around the Resilience. Plus, they have the Hatchan support, which can give us Recovery Orbs, which gets around the Hunger. And then you can actually use them to remove the barriers too. Ace Sabo, they're just really good as a 3-turn Orb Boost. They're my Dex unit for the team, I believe. Yeah, they're my Dex unit for the team. If you want to, though, just replace them with like any 2-turn Orb Booster that is going to give you some sort of support that has attack down removal. We have Corazon, Toshigi, and Jozu on this team, so that way we're getting around all that shenanigans. Unfortunately, Zoro's conditional boost is not going to work for one of the variations, but just make sure you use his special first. If you lose your positive effects at that particular point, it doesn't matter because you don't have any positive effects, so it's kind of whatever. And then finally, you've got Law and Kid. Now, Law does get boosted across every variation, so starting as him works great. You'll have his super swap, you can swap in, you get the chain multiplicative buff. They're a monster attack boost as well. Because you have one of every color on this team, everything is going to be rainbow, so that's always a really, really fun time. Zoro, he's completely replaceable in this team. Like, if you want to, just bring something else, but he's my super tandem character. Because we have Nami, we have my Luffy, and then Zoro himself, that's going to trigger our super tandem effects, and then we're just banking all that damage in on the rush of the Friend Captain Gear 5. The Friend Captain Gear 5, he's going to have that increase to the attack boost. He can be an Orb booster here and there, but look, nevertheless, the Intimidation debuff does hinder team building so drastically that it makes some of these big time characters a lot harder to use. Having Beppo support using Luffy last means you're going to have a tandem orb no matter what, and hitting with your Luffy means that you are going to have that tandem orb available to you. You can swap it over if you want to. You can bring your 6+ if he's rush level 5, and then bring a Friend Captain Gear 5 6-star. That way you're removing Despair, Bind, getting through damage reduction effects, and removing the special reverse. And it all works out pretty hunky-dory. But that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there, bell like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!